what you're saying here is that in a weird way, furry hentai porn created a an avenue of growth for both yourself and your wife personally, and for the company to move on in a more unified direction. I think that's what I heard there. Is that a charitable interpretation?
It made so.
um, oh, here we go. So, in your opinion, because I don't think I've asked you this yet, but do you think that your statement went too far? Like looking back at it over the last week or so, do you think your statement went too far in a couple areas?
So I was asked this on an interview earlier today. I did an interview with a gentleman on another show, and he said, "Do you regret making that video?" And I said, "No, not at all." Um, this is a piece of information a lot of no most people don't know. Actually, nobody knows yet. I said it on his podcast. The first video I did was an hour and 20 minutes,
Oh,
and
Ooh.
it was very emotional. It was very hard. This is by far the hardest video I've ever had to make. And for the last 2 weeks prior to doing the video, I couldn't sleep. I would wake up before my alarm. I had ulcers, which is like a thing I used to get a lot of with stress. And I was calling a couple of my friends, once again, like praying on the phone, weeping about it because like this has been very difficult for me and my wife for the not the last 2 weeks, but like for years.
right.
So I did the first video on here. It was an hour and 20. Got done and was like, oh wow, that was quite long. And my wife watched it twice that night, so she was in bed watching till like 4 a.m. Because I didn't feel real comfortable with it. I was like, man, I shared a lot. There was a lot of family stuff. I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's fully like it's appropriate. So she watched it twice, and then my marketing director watched it. So I had lots of people. Like I had people reviewing. Like this wasn't me just like off the cuff, like shooting from the hip,
Mhm.
like some of my like older stuff. Um, they kind of said the same thing. Yeah, it was a little much, a little too much like personal like stuff. We need to tone it back. But we need to hit the main points that are relevant and important. So then we worked all day on that script, which I did not want to use the script. I want to do it one take. I want it to be raw. I want it to be real. The problem is in doing so, it was just too long. So
Right.
so then our law firm looked at it. We talked to them because I have legal doing like a lot now, which is important. But yeah, that video was the bare bones, raw, like as raw as it can be for now. Truth as to what happened, and there's a lot more. I have emails and receipts, and I've got all kinds of stuff, but it's enough. It's enough for now. Like I said in the video, I want to be done. I want to do stuff. Like I was working on the new companies today with the guys, doing some cool stuff. Like that's what I want to do. Now, I think some of this stuff is interesting because it's interesting to see how people react to it and discuss it because this is, a pretty big like thing that's happened in our industry. But I don't want to talk about this obviously like for 6 months.
Right.
And I don't even really want to talk about it right now, except to answer like a couple questions. Um, but yeah, that video was, yeah, I don't have any regrets for that video. This is the sad part. This is like the real sad part. I've had hundreds of emails and DMs from people saying the same thing happened to me. And that I'm not like the most empathetic, emotional dude. I'm pretty autistic,
Mhm.
but hearing from so many people that they deal with the same thing or have dealt with the same thing is super sad because like this is a pretty common thing that happens.
Mhm.
I even had the CEO, well, the COO of a company, a family-run company. They're very big. You all know who know who it is. He texted me out of the blue and was like, "Yeah, I had to leave because of family stuff. I'm now on missions." So I had a ton of people reach out through text who were like,
Mhm.
had something similar, had something with family, had something with, my dad's company, like whatever. So um, the unique thing about this scenario is it is public, or it's a little more public, but that's because T-Rex is a public company outside of being publicly traded. Um, the
Right.
company was very successful due to its outspoken values, due to truth and transparency, like the AC Uno situation. Um, And so it's not something that can just like, be in the shadows, swept under the rug, in my opinion, just because of who T-Rex is. If we were like Chevron, some faceless, soulless company, like, yeah, we see executives could come and go, owners could come and go, family stuff could happen, and no one would ever know because they're fueling their cars at the pump and they don't give a crap. But T-Rex was, for better or worse, a company built on public values, and we brought people along, with us on that. And so I'm of the opinion that to some extent, not the necessarily full extent, but to some extent, people deserve to know who they're spending money with.
Well, I think that you're right, because I think that T-Rex Arms is such a public company in terms of its outspoken values. That's why people would buy it. And people literally gave you guys thousands and thousands of dollars, not because necessarily like you had everything in stock that they would ever want, but because of your values that you espouse, right? So for me, it's almost like if I continue to take somebody's money because I'm claiming to do these good things, espouse their values, follow their values in my daily life, but it comes out that actually I'm just taking their money and lying to them the whole time. Like, I feel as a customer, I have a right to know if the company that I'm supporting because of their values isn't actually following their values.
When you're making values, because here's the thing, here's what people don't, I think this is where the heads are bumping with a lot of people, and I want to get into this more in the future. There's people who buy for values, and there's people who buy for product. They're like, Engol, awesome. This company, probably not the greatest company ever. Right. They're just L3,
Yeah.
But good product, like it's my favorite laser. So there's people that buy for product, and then there's like people who buy for values. And to some extent, I think everyone does both. Like, these are American Eagle jeans. Frankly, American Eagle's pretty gay. Like, you go to their website, 100%. Gay stuff all over. That's why I'm going to make jeans, because like I don't really want to wear gay jeans that much. But at one hand, like, a lot of us make purchases because of convenience, or it's the only option, when it would be cool to buy every product, or at least a majority, off of values, not just for the product. Now, that's my idealistic vision for the people I support.
Let me run this by you. So I think now you can get products just about anywhere. We have more options than ever in terms of who's making what and where. So now I feel like values play a higher role than maybe they did 10, 15 years ago. Right?
I would agree. Just because of the culture war, for lack of a better word, at the same time. I would agree. Voting with money is like kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and I mean, there's certain elements where you can't get around it, like certain lasers or whatnot, or you have to buy your Chinese-made electronics or whatever it might be. There's some ways you can't get around it, but yeah, with the more options, I think people place a higher emphasis on the actual more, and also everything's more public now. Everybody has social media. Everybody sees what people actually believe, what they post on their social media or whatnot. So it's just, there's more access to information, and the products themselves are no longer as important. Ooh. Flashed us, sir.
Sorry, yeah. But, just destroyed my sensor.
Right, your camera starts saying spots. Something you said earlier, though, about helping other people going through a similar situation. And I feel like that's something that's really important to me, even with videos, is that I know that people don't like negative videos, but I feel like those are the most helpful to people
100%
to understand what could go wrong, what might be wrong, so that other people, in this case, we're just talking about money, right? Where it's like, well, if you buy X product, it's probably not going to do what you want it to do, and you're going to be out $2, $3, $4, $5, or thousands of dollars, depending on what it is, right? So I think, and in a way, doing that with companies is also, I guess, a similar thing, because there are companies that I don't care what they have. I don't care what price they have it for. I ain't buying from Lead and Steel. Whatever it happens to be, I don't care what they make. It could be the greatest thing of all time. I'm not buying it.
So are they Jews or no? What are they?
No, they. Do you want to know? Do you want to know the Lead and? Do you want to know the Lead and Steel lore? They're
Turkish, right? Yeah.
Well, so that's the joke, is because they have some ODA contract with the Turkish government, or with a Turkish OEM. I think they might have lied about that in some of their videos, but anyways, they're how do I say this? Islamic gay communist. So they kind of hit the trifecta of things that I'm not a huge fan of.
So why is it they haven't been thrown off a roof yet? I'm
Well, because
sorry.
they're in the
This
U.S.
is me.
They're in
This
the
is
U.S.
me.
This is spicy,
Oh, they're in
spicy
the U.S.
Botkin.
now.
They're in the
Oh,
U.S.
okay,
now.
okay.
Yeah. They're
Explains
you know
it.
how it is. They espouse the
Yeah.
values that they wouldn't be able to hold in their home countries. You know how it
They
goes.
probably eat bacon too.
Yeah, I can't confirm. Can't confirm. Yeah, that's some of the lead and steel lore. Well, hey,
That's
Lucas, you're
funny.
welcome to hang out as long as you want. What are you working on right now?
So I'm going to the range, which is fun because I don't have one anymore.
Mhm.
I haven't shot in like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, so my hands feel my calluses are gone from shooting, so that kind of sucks.
You
So
got a gun?
what? Oh shoot! Sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh, shoot! Gun! No.
Airsoft.
Yeah. Seriously.
Airsoft, yeah.
So I'm trying to reconfigure my gear because I have to go somewhere like a little more public, which is scary.
Right. That's gonna be fun. Have fun with that.
Yeah. Well, we're going on a weekday in the morning, so like
Okay. Yeah.
trying to like but no, if we run into people, it's fine. It's just kind of it's a little bit. So yeah, getting all my gear set up, and then gonna shoot a little bit, come back, keep working. And then at some point we'll figure out a range. But I'm probably just gonna take a break from shooting for a while because
Yeah.
I've got
Focus
other
on your other
stuff,
things.
and there's also good studies for like Ben and Joel and some other guys. Like they take a break for 3 months, like no touching guns for 3 months. I don't think Ben does that, but there's some science for like you come back and you're better. And so part of me is like, that's what I'm doing, but actually that's not what I want to do. So
Actually, you're just busy.
yeah, actually I
Right.
don't have my own range anymore. So yeah, so we're gonna shoot a little tomorrow, which will be fun, and I'm gonna try out the Meta glasses, film with those. That'll be cool. So yeah, and then I got to figure out a video for Saturday. I might talk about failure because that's fun. Actually, you made a comment about that. You said people prefer, oh my knees. People prefer talking about or hearing about stories of failure. I agree 100%. That was something I talked about on the podcast earlier today. Like success stories are fun and like they make you feel good inside, but I think they have a lot less bearing and value on people than talking about, hey, this bad thing happened. Here's how I overcame it. Here's what's happening next.
Mm.
Like that's just super, like a lot more fun. And the movies that are the most popular, unless it's Marvel slop, are the movies where like the main character like gets like just what's the right word? Like valiantly
There's the
spare.
There's
hero's
more.
journey.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's more to be learned with failure than just success.
oh, 100%. That's why, like, when you go to the range, if you're not missing, you suck. Like, you've got to like have a bunch of misses to get better. So, I think that's one reason, so many people have resonated with the video I put out because they've had similar, maybe not at the same level, but like similar, what's the word? Themes. All the themes, a lot of themes are in the story or at least my story, my life experience with
Your
T-Rex.
struggles.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. I was gonna write a book titled that, and then I
Yeah.
realized
It was already taken. It's been used.
yeah, I couldn't do that. So
Just pull a Tim Kennedy. Just steal the book name. Just go
yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny is there's actually many people. Like everyone has a different experience at T-Rex. Like there have been people that have had a great experience. I've had great experiences at times. There's people who have not had great experiences. Like I know a guy's wife who did not have a great experience, and it was super sad with what happened to her. And so, because it is a company, like it's a business, there's hundreds of people. I actually think I can say hundreds of people have worked there, at least about 200 total. So there's a lot of life experience from that company, which is cool, and it's not all rose-colored glasses. But I think that's interesting. I think failure is fun. It excites me. So, which sounds weird. But
Well, if you're
I know,
working out, yeah,
it is.
training to failure is something you got to program in like once a session, basically. It's not
Yeah.
fun, but it's something that helps actually.
Yeah, I canceled today.
Oh, come on, man! You
Yeah,
cleared up your whole
no.
schedule.
Well,
Unemployment.
I know. I know. I was working late. Trying to fix the website, trying to do my own web stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's a pain. So
Yeah.
just using AI. So anyway, well, you guys have fun watching the rest of the
Can you address one
Yeah,
thing
sure,
for me
of
though?
course.
So
Maybe.
it's Great Cat for $5 says, "Hello Lucas. Right now, a lot of hate is being thrown at T-Rex, understandably so. Would you be willing to discourage this?" And I think this is getting at one of the points in the podcast that we're talking about right now is the nuclear, like this is like an attack on T-Rex arms itself from you and from your side and from the internet basically, because the internet's basically on your side on this. And is there, because I think even Brandon brought this up in our interview, is the average layperson at T-Rex Arms is being affected by this. So is that something that you can talk to?
Yeah, so this was a tough one because obviously my issue at T-Rex, I think I said it in the video, so I'm not giving any new information, is with the owners and the executive leadership. And not just the owners, mind you. And it is impossible to separate out that part of the dilemma from everyone else or the public or customers even. It is actually impossible to separate the two outside of being completely silent and pretending like nothing happened, which
Right.
unfortunately, well, one, I have not been presented a good argument, a biblical, practical, logical argument for shutting up and saying nothing and just sweeping it under the rug. Nobody has presented to me a good factual argument for why what I did was wrong. People have sort of kind of danced around it and said, family, private, shouldn't be anywhere. Well, like, well, no, it's business, actually. I'm a public figure, and T-Rex is a public company. Yes, there's family, but it's actually bigger than family. Like, it's all of us, and it's you guys, and it's customers, and it's hundreds of thousands to millions of people. It's not just a family issue. So it is tough because, yes, I do think people are going to be affected by it. And customers have too. I mean, I watched a short from a guy on YouTube who looked really depressed about what he had heard because he had spent so much money on T-Rex and had like 6 of our skull patches. Like, I feel bad for that guy with what happened. I don't just feel bad for employees. But the thing that I think a lot of people are forgetting is, oh my gosh, a sticker. Well, thank you for your support, John. I appreciate it. But I think what a lot of people, I don't know if I should say this. You know what? Screw it. I will. I think people need to be careful not making T-Rex an idol, or me for that matter, or anyone, or Isaac, or anyone. And I hope that's not what's happening, because ultimately the mission of T-Rex, while it is bigger than one person, which was a statement I actually used to make a lot, the mission of T-Rex can happen elsewhere. The mission of T-Rex can happen anywhere. It can happen with other companies. It can happen with my new company. It can happen with any of the guys at T-Rex who move on and go to, someone goes and works for Spiritus, or they go and work for, I know someone who left our company to go work for MDT. Like, there are, Mile High Shooting. The values people have learned at T-Rex can and should be taken elsewhere in the industry. This idea that these things can only happen at one company, I think is actually pretty, I don't want to say dangerous, but like it's not very intellectually honest, in my opinion. So the response from people that, hey, this is going to hurt employees, so what you did is bad. I think they're misplacing the guilt or the fault, and they should think about where it should actually go. But 2, it's a job like any other. Just like working for me right now, there's 3 guys who work for me who came over. Working for me is a job like any other. It's different. It'll have its perks, but like it is a job to put food on the table, and you can get a job elsewhere. It's difficult sometimes, and it's difficult depending on what your skills are. But this whole idea that like employees are at T-Rex and they can only be at T-Rex is, I mean, that's how I felt for years. And then I realized, hey, that's actually wrong. Like, I should be able to do things elsewhere. I can't worship T-Rex, this thing that I founded. It is bigger than me, and I can't make it an idol. And I did. I made it an idol for years. And that's not good. So I think that's a piece of the conversation that is lacking right now. And I think goes for any company, like Geisley, Surefire, or Grand Thumb, like anyone. Like, we can't be making idols of people. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Now, I think there is a way for T-Rex to survive this. I think there's a way they can come out of this decent. I think it's going to require a large amount of courage from the other owners to do the right thing or do something. And they actually could pull through. Because the thing is, T-Rex makes great holsters. You get them in like 2 days. No one competes with that. Like, I was talking to some of the guys earlier, and it was like, yeah, no one else is doing holsters like T-Rex. They just aren't. So they have a good product. I know it firsthand, and I still use one. The whole like I'm saying I'll never buy from T-Rex, it's not very accurate. But it's going to require some very calculated, specific moves on the parts of the owners to instill trust in the customer base. And I hope that's what they're talking about, because that's like brands are built on trust, nothing else. That's entirely what they're built on, not just good products. Good products, like second, actually. So I don't know if that answers your question. It's kind of long-winded, but
I think that answered
thoughts.
multiple questions in there for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting place for you to be in for sure, because obviously you're the quote unquote aggressor, I think, as certain people are seeing it in this, right? That's like the takedown of you. But I agree. If a layperson works at Evil Inc., right? Me
Right.
taking down Evil Inc., like it still has to be done, right? If you're, the secretary at Evil Inc., well, guess what? Yeah, you do have to go get another job, basically, right? And that just is what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying T-Rex Arms
yeah.
is Evil Inc., but I'm just saying that.
Oh yeah. No. I agree. I think the part that I watch for the most. So like I've been wronged and I've wronged people. I know that. The piece though that will make me go nuclear is stuff about my wife. And I have seen very little acknowledgement of what she's been through. And if a man is not willing to sacrifice himself or potentially decimate a village is not the right phrase because that's 1 in 10. But like if a man is not willing to die for his wife or fight for his wife, he shouldn't have gotten married in the first place. So that's
well, it's if you're not willing to leave your mother and father to be joined to the new woman, right? You're creating a new family, right? You're not. I've heard different people will explain it in different ways, but you're not joining families together. You're not joining her extended family.
You're your own. You're new.
You're creating a new family, right? And listen, and so here's the thing, like. People like I have a big family. I've had brothers who have married people. My sisters have married people, and even if we're not the biggest fans of those people as individuals, it doesn't matter because we still have to respect them because that's their choice, right? And they made their choice. And so even if we take the devil's advocate position here, it doesn't matter. They still have to respect them because they need to respect you, right? And you can't separate the two. So disrespect to Kara is disrespect to you, basically.
Yep. Yeah, I had that was a question on the podcast I was on was what would it take for you to have a phone call with your brothers? And I said, well, reconciliation with my wife. We're one flesh. We're together. Like they've apologized to me for a few things, but like it's going to require some conversations with her. And then when that can happen, then we can talk. And I think in a few, this is what I hope. I want to be very known, and I want people to understand this. I have a theory that in 2 or 3 years, after everyone is separated, because I just don't we don't all align with how we do work. Like there's a number of things we disagree on, Israel, things like that. But so I think once there's a little bit of that's just kind of a fun one. But as soon as we get a little bit of distance, they have their stuff, they have the company, I have my companies, we have our AOs or areas of operation. I think in a few years we could start meeting again and talking. It was just too much. It's what I explained on the podcast. We had too much family dynamics. We had too many disagreements on business operations and how things should be done. And then there was also the whole human component that was very tricky. I mean, in any family situation, and then wives and all that fun stuff, it just was not going to work. And so the separation needed to happen. It happened in a way I did not think exactly due to events earlier this year. But I think in the long run, this is better for everyone. And I even had employees telling me that like 2 days after I quit, including an executive. He was like, there's a breath of fresh air. Everyone knows where everyone stands. They know who they work for. There were still a lot of people who were concerned about what would be next, but it is clear now who people work for. They work for those owners. They don't work for me. It's very clear, which is good. That's what the employees deserve. What happens next is up to the owners. They can pick and choose whether they want to sell Holosun, not sell Holosun, stop doing retail, only do holsters. Like all those conversations you've had in the past, they now get to decide on. I'm not there to stand in the way. So, and they're not standing in the way of me either. So it went both ways. So
what you're saying here is that in a weird way, furry hentai porn created an avenue of growth for both yourself and your wife personally, and for the company to move on in a more unified direction. I think that's what I heard there. Is that a charitable interpretation?
It made so well, I already made the decision a split needed to happen in January, like my timeline of events. Like I told them we could buy or sell needs to happen. We need to move on with this. That thing just was the straw that broke the camel's back in showing me that in my opinion, me and my wife were not wanted, and
Right.
that expedited certain decisions. But in January, it was like, hey, line in the sand. This needs to go one of two ways. Make me an offer, I'll make you an offer. Like, we need to move on. And this was like with years of employee confusion and like disunity. So like this wasn't a surprise to people. Like I don't want anyone believing like this was a surprise. Like I think me quitting was a shock. I know that was a shock to even the owners. But the thing in February was like, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I should have quit like the week after. And the only reason I
Mhm.
didn't was I thought there was still a chance I could get the company and turn it around, in my opinion.
Right.
But I should have, out of principle, quit literally the week after I was told, no, we're keeping the dude. No, you need to more or less be quiet. I should have
Mhm.
quit right then.
North
That would have
Northside
been.
California has a great point. He says draft the furries to Iran. That's a great move.
I agree.
Yeah, that's funny. So yeah, it definitely made the decision easier, and definitely drew more line, a firmer line in the sand of what's going on.
Right.
So I guess it's a good thing in the long run. It still sucks that it happened, but it is what it is. So
Yeah.
yes,
Sweet. Well, we're all excited for what comes next.
me too.
Yeah.
I'm very
Yeah.
excited. It's gonna be fun, and I'm gonna make slim jeans, not skinny.
Well, you should
Slim, not
you should
skinny. Oh, that's literally what they're called. That's what
you
they're
talked
called.
about for short-term cash how you would like possibly entertain like a t-shirt or something. It should be skinny jeans, not gay jeans, or something like that. Or
And it's like
skinny jeans.
an
Yeah,
arrow
yeah.
like down
Skinny
here. Yeah.
jeans are not gay jeans. Change my mind, or something like that.
Listen, most people can't compete with my impressive wingspan, so that's what's going on. So 36 and a half to be precise for
Got
inseam.
that leg reach advantage. Going to be a killer in MMA, like a spider out there.
I should get into kickboxing, and you know what? Maybe with all my newfound time, that's what I will do. I'll get into kickboxing and be like the drunken master or something.
Yeah.
Be sick. I don't know if that's the right reference.
There's a lot of stuff to juggle, but yeah, starting companies, shooting, multiple YouTube channels, kickboxing champion. It's a lot.
You
It's
might
a lot
as
to
well
take
go
on
ahead
in your
and
30s.
join Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. I mean,
So my marketing, well, I say marketing director. He came over from TX. That's what he does. But I'm always like, oh, you're gonna go roll with men? You're gonna go wrestle some sweaty men? Like every time he like leaves.
Yeah.
So no, he does that like 3 nights a week. So yeah, he's pretty. He's a former cop.
Okay. I mean, jujitsu is a good foundation, jujitsu and wrestling, for having to interact with other humans and maybe not get stabbed or shot like we've seen. I don't know if you've seen all the body cam footage coming out of these people like tussling with people. It's
Yeah.
miserable.
No, I see the body cam footage of like the second someone's making a specific base and they're about to get tasered. I've seen a few of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are interesting.
A taser and a female police officer way. Taser, taser, taser.
Bang.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, with an oops.
Oh, I
Big
shot.
oops there.
It happens. Well, hey, you gentlemen have a very nice time and have a fun time enjoying the rest of the podcast. I will say I have zero animosity towards John. I want to make that clear. I don't really have that for. I know people think I have that for gays and like other people. Like I don't spend a lot of time worrying about like other people. But I call a spade a spade. If someone's being gay, I'm gonna say they're gay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just stating the facts.
What is. You're just stating what is.
Exactly, yeah. Just like you guys see me wearing skinny jeans, prancing around on the range, you guys say it's gay. And you know what? Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. We'll never know. So, no, I have no animosity towards John. I hope the best for him. I wish he had seen
Which
my
John?
video. Oh, sorry. Well, all three of you, actually. All
Oh,
of
thank you.
y'all. Yeah. I don't know if he saw my video. I wish he did. Unless that
He
was him
said that he
playing.
did. He
Oh, he
said
did?
that he did, which
Oh,
is
okay.
why a
Said-
lot of his takes
Oh.
seem opposed to what you had said in your video. Like
Oh.
he said that he
Well,
I don't know if you want to keep getting
he
into
could,
it, but yeah,
here's the thing. He is free to an opinion, just like anyone else, just like any of you guys who are watching all the content. He didn't text me for any clarifications or questions. I would have shared them with him if he had asked. And I think that's fine. He didn't. I don't know if I want to hold that against him because it is kind of weird, like just all of
but
this.
he's your only friend, Lucas.
Well, yeah, there is that. That's a little odd, but yeah. So he texted me. Oh, for clarification, he texted me after I announced I quit. He said he said something nice, and then he didn't text after my video or after T Rex's video or after any or Brandon. Like he didn't text after that. So but I hope John's doing well. He's had his own troubles, and we've talked about it in the past. And so yeah, so you guys enjoy listening to the rest.
Absolutely. You have a good night, sir. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you very much. I'll see you all, and bye to the chat as well. How do I leave?